As you walked away, I called out your name. It was at that very moment I knew I would not be the same. You left me broken all alone, and now you will not pick up your phone. Did you think that would get me feeling down? No, that made me drive all around that old small town. Did you think I would drown in your pain? Hell to the no, let me explain. I drove up to that old dive bar on the corner of a new tomorrow. I thought I was going in to drink away my sorrows. Instead I danced the night away. Boom bopping, bar hopping, body rocking, foot stomping all night long. As you drove on by that old glowing neon sign, you see me walking in with someone new. You thought you left me broken and alone, waiting for me to pick up that damn phone. Did you think I would move on? It was a new day you left for me tomorrow. Hell to the no, let me explain. I drove up to that old dive bar on the corner of a new tomorrow. I thought I was going in to drink away my sorrows. Instead I danced the night away. Boom bopping, bar hopping, body rocking, foot stomping all night long. Instead I danced the night away. Boom bopping, bar hopping, body rocking, foot stomping all night long. Hell to the no, let me explain. I drove up to that old dive bar on the corner of a new tomorrow. I thought I was going in to drink away my sorrows. Instead I danced the night away. Boom bopping, bar hopping, body rocking, foot stomping all night long. Instead I danced the night away. Boom bopping, bar hopping, body rocking, foot stomping all night long.
Hey Maria, I'm doing really good. I had something I want to talk to you about that came up as an opportunity for me yesterday. It starts with wood. That got me thinking. It's beautiful. There are so many things you can do with a single piece of wood. You could build a house. You could make crafts. You could even sell the wood for fires and for crafting and for many other things. I'll tell you about my opportunity in a minute. I know why this sounds like. Give me 1 second. The damn fan. Thank you. Can you hear me better? Okay, so I was saying I had an opportunity yesterday. Something happened at my home, at the neighbor's home, that made me really fucking mad at first. I was angry about it. Then as the day progressed, red lights started going off in my head. I'll tell you about my opportunity in a minute. Let me tell you about this single piece of wood. You see it's broken. My grandson stepped on it and cracked it in half. However, it got me really fucking thinking after this opportunity came to head for me. Okay? I was angry yesterday. there was a tree cut down next to my home that I knew the story about that was planted right before I moved in. And it was about a family that I care deeply about that used to live in that home that moved. One of them had passed away, and I considered her my friend. Okay. Our children grew up together, and this tree had a history. It's 21, 22 years old. We counted the rings, my son did. And it matches up to my history exactly, my memory, because sometimes memories can play tricks on you, right? So, this single piece of wood yesterday gave me a really huge opportunity, and I'm going to tell you how and why in a moment. However, might be life changing for me and my family. Just a single piece of wood. But I want to bring you my thoughts first that include Summer's case. You know, Fred, I haven't made my video yet, but Fred had came out the first time talking about Dawn had stolen some wood with, I believe it was the Morgan guy, the Andy Paul Morgan or whatever. They had stolen some wood from Fred's property. Now, I just listed to you many ways you can make profit from wood. The land in that area is very, very important to the people that live there. We heard them talk many times about ginseng. That's just one opportunity. Wood can create and generate lots of money, which is where I'm going to tell you about my new opportunity. I was mad about that tree being cut down yesterday. I've been complaining about the tree, by the way. I'm not happy about this tree because it has one branch that grows onto my roof and it comes into my window. It's busting my fucking window, leaving a mess. I get all the fucking leaves. I'm a normal fucking bitchy fucking neighbor, just like the rest of us. When your property has an issue and it's because of a neighbor, you're going to complain about it, right? However, I only wanted one branch from this tree cut off. I went to sleep yesterday morning. You guys know I stay up late. I went to sleep yesterday morning to tree cutters outside of my house, cutting the fucking tree. I thought they were cutting one fucking branch because I've been complaining. I wake up several hours later, like 7 or 8, normal sleep. And they're still out there cutting this one tree. Imagine how long it takes to cut one fucking tree down properly without it destroying the property around it. So think about that when you think about the tree cutters in Summer's case. How long they could have been on this property. It's not an easy task. I'm not going to give you the tree cutters' names because my opportunity rolls in as he gave me the whole motherfucking tree. He cut it down. He cut it in little skinny pieces for me. He cut big pieces. I like to craft. I'm pretty crafty at making tables. I've made them in the past. My son-in-law, soon to be, hopefully one day, son-in-law, is a carpenter. So we took the wood. We're in the process of taking the wood from that yard to my yard where we are going to build. And hopefully my daughter-in-law and I came up with an idea to start a company out of the wood we were given because one tree can generate millions of projects. They can sell millions of projects. And this is oak, given to me for free. I'm going to use the resource here in the city. One tree in a city. I'm going to attempt to make thousands of dollars off of this one tree. I want you guys to think about that when you think about all the wood talk between Dawn and Fred. Dawn was stealing wood from Fred's property. Just a thought, just a route, just a lane. You also hear of Andy coming home with a huge bag of meth I've been talking about. I started reporting on a couple weeks ago. Go watch that live if you haven't seen it. It's of me reviewing Jody. And you also see text messages somewhere in my lives between Karen Elliott and I speaking about how Fred on Ziggy's channel, you can go find it on Ziggy's, accusing Karen of stealing money for rugs. We'll call them rugs since we're talking wood. My point is there's a long-standing feud between Fred and Dawn. Now Karen's supposedly dating Dawn. Weird ass shit, don't you think? Anyways, wish me luck. We're gonna name our company AMT. A.M.T.E.E. The T's for many reasons. Whoever could figure it out, I'll send you my first project. A is for my daughter-in-law's first name because we plan on see, this is how you generate money for your family. We plan on taking a percentage and giving that percentage to my first 3 grandchildren that she holds. We're going to build up a contract and get really serious about this. Each family member will hold a position. My son-in-law got the trucks, the tools. I got the tree. Not only the tree, but direct contact with the tree cutter who said I can come get any kind of wood I want anytime he cuts any fucking tree down. Free cleanup. A company out of nothing. Land rich. Think about that when you think about Summer's case. Give that an educated thought. Ginseng's not the only thing on that land that's so important. And quite frankly, if we didn't have areas like Rogersville, Tennessee, Lowe's wouldn't have wood. Just saying. It's just educational guesses based off of my life, Maria, which is where we're going to go next. And you guys may laugh at me, may say it's not real. I don't know this guy. His name's Michael Corleone, Blanco. However, he was one of my neighbors and owned lots of property in the area I grew up in. His family did. His mother owned, this is when I grew up in Miami. His mother owned lots of businesses. I have been in those businesses. I have corresponded as a child with the people that owned those businesses. My father was friends. Think about that. Hi, Zig. My father was friends with the people that owned these businesses. As a matter of fact, I've been really hard trying to remember a memory of a certain building in Bell Harbor, certain 3 buildings possibly, and what my father went there for. I know my father, and I know what my father did in his past. The people I grew up with did not know my father. However, my father did get mind fucked. Like a lot of shit with him. People should actually research him. He would connect to my mother up here. Now, I'm not saying I'm connected to these people in any fucking way, shape, or form, but I'm saying there's a possibility there that might bring Ziggy in. I'm saying it's a road, and we need to go down it because I grew up in the same area Ziggy did. The psychic shit rings really funky to me, Ziggy. 1 block away exactly from my father, and 3/4 of a block away from a business that connects to my father. Right, bitch? Let's play these games, Miss Green Card Marriage. I'm done. Let's see who you know. We're going to go through this because I think it's interesting. Hey, Lorianne. And I think it's not summer. Okay? And before we do this, let me start right here. This is a home I grew up in. This is Miami Beach. This is Surfside, North Miami Beach. This is 8959 Carlisle Avenue. I have no clue who lives there now. The building was sold recently. I would say during COVID. My father's best friends have lived in this home pretty much their whole life. My father, I'm going to guess, went on many trips with them prior to me being born as a child. In this home, I have many memories in this home. One of which, my father locking me and my sister in a closet for days on end while he drove taxis and women around because he got arrested with us in the car while he did it. And my mother worked for a man named Victor Posner, who was a real big real estate tycoon and owned some company, huge company. One actually just blew up in Clairton, Pennsylvania, where I grew up also. I'll tell you my life story. We'll connect the fucking way I'm thinking for all of y'all. Okay? But the man that grew up in this home with his siblings was not my father's best friend, the one I'm going to speak about. He was not my father's best friend growing up. However, his brother Mark was. Mark Schutzius. Very close. I'm going to bet my father had been coming down the Surfside, Miami Beach, his whole fucking life with these people. The reason I bring this up is because my father passed away. Let me go back. I want to give you a really long fucking history of my father. Okay? He was in a car wreck first. He stole a car. He was hit by a train. That caused him some health issues at a very young age. The car was hit by a train. He did some time in lockup, if I'm correct. And then he got out of lockup and he met my mother. They were very young. My father, I believe, 17, 18 years old. My mom, 14, 15. My mother immediately got pregnant with me. My mother's side of the family, not good at all. Not a single fucking one of them. My father's side of the family, however, grew up with class. However, they disowned us over many things in life. Starting with this address. In this house where I once lived. This window was my bedroom. If you walked back here, there used to be a banana tree and a coconut tree. They never fell. The whole time I fucking lived there, I was mad. I never got bananas or coconuts off of it. There used to be a lemon tree in this yard right here. I wasn't old enough to use knives. We would take the lemons, me and all the kids in the neighborhood, and pick them up and boom, smash them on the ground so we could open them because they were like oranges. They had a sweet. They were really good. I love lemons so much so every time I eat one, it puts me in pain for fucking days. We're not going to go into my neighbors because I'm not going to dox people. However, there will be certain neighbors that I tell stories about. as time goes on. I want you to look this straight up. I'm looking for a crime that I seen once on the internet that was committed on my street. Not only was that crime committed, but I had reached out to the children, 40 years fucking later? And I'm trying to remember, I think I got one response back quickly that said my family passed away, and we spoke briefly from a girl named Melissa that lived on this street. However, there was a huge crime with her family. I want you guys to go find it. It happened right after we moved out. I never knew about it. The Champlain, let me hear, since we're here before we go on. The Champlain towers that fell. How do I zoom out of this? Fuck it, we won't. We'll just walk. There was a monkey on this street. I could tell you a million stories growing up down here. When people tell me my life is fake, it ain't real, she ain't related to these people. There was a little boy on this street I used to play with. There was a little boy on this street I'm learning that is very important to my life, and maybe even some things going on. But we're walking down this direction. I'll tell you a couple stories. It might help. We're going to get into something really interesting here in 1 minute. This building right... Oh, where are we at? We're going to go down one more block. Sorry, guys. This building right here... Oh, see, you can't see it. Funny shit. This building right here used to be a small hotel. It was called the Holiday Inn when I lived there in the 80s. My father and all of his friends worked in this building. They did things the unspoken shouldn't talk about. It was cool as fuck. They had a pool. I think it was shaped like a guitar or a car or something. That building later was sold off. It became another hotel, the Deezerland, if I'm correct. Cool as fuck, ran by Cubans, Hispanics. I stayed there a few times when I would go visit my father. I have a story of my ex-husband. He hit a fucking BB gun in the ceiling of it, and we came back a year later and it was there. A BB gun. We got up here on a Greyhound. Something we wasn't allowed to do. Right? Right next to this new beautiful shiny building. Beautiful, ain't it? Hey, Brito, the building inspector, you by chance related to me in a step fashion way? Really curious. I want to look into it. Hey, Amy. Okay. Wait, we're going to listen to this in a minute. Let me go back to my map. Where are we? Next to this building, you're going to notice two lots. They are missing because those were the Champlain towers. I have memories of those too. I don't remember if I've ever been in them, but behind them, I brought a beach cat home. Very first cat I ever had in my life because my dad hated cats. We named her Rainbow. I'm going to get into Rainbow's story one day as we go on. Rainbow has a story of murder. One of my first most horrific memories in life. But if you go down 2 blocks, you're going to see that's my house. This building, beautiful, normal Miami, right? However, right between The two buildings is a property line that disconnects Surfside Miami Beach to North Miami Beach. The building inspector approved the building that should not have been built there and so close to those buildings. I believe, in my opinion, them buildings fell because this new shiny building was built. Hundreds of people lost their lives. Many miss their families today. Surfside was a community of the Cubans, the Spaniards, the Jewish people, very huge Jewish community. Yet it was a small town. Many Peruvians. It was a mixture. It was culture. It's a place you got to learn different cultures. For somebody like me who only lived there briefly, while my father had a long-standing history of living in the area, many people would have known him. I don't, but I know the history, and I know what I've studied, and I know that that small town, that community meant something to me as a child. Next, just a few blocks up, is this 90th? There's a Trump Towers up here. Right up here. This is Bell Harbor, just blocks away. I went to school in Bell Harbor because of where I lived in Surfside. It was considered a part of Bell Harbor. Hey, Helen. So I went to school with the people Michael Corleone is going to talk about that lived in this area as he talks about his mother. I want you to get a better understanding of my life and why I believe Ziggy may be connected to something bigger, if that makes sense. Since she's from Miami, it's a route. I think we need to switch from Indiana to the dirty South, the beautiful South, the culture, the life, what it was like back when Ziggy and I would have been growing up down in Miami. Catch my drift? So let's have fun. We're going to take a little summer break. I spoke about the trees, the land. We'll get into there. I'm going to make a video eventually. And right now, whether they take my monetization away or not, we're going to spend the next 2 hours and 30 minutes reviewing at least some of it. This is a fucking great interview, dude. I'd love to meet this guy. He's changed the whole family life around. I would love to meet him and talk about my past, what I do remember.
Her life. Welcome to.
Oh, and I also, after this, I want to review another day. He does a review of the Netflix series, and it's so fucking funny to watch because he's like, nah, that ain't really how it went. And in one of these interviews, I think this one, he talks about how he sued. Just listen. Let's have fun with it. Hey, Ziggy. Fuck you, bitch. You're gonna be fucking sending rap some shit and some skeebies and shit. What the fuck is wrong with you? You will do anything for sex, money, pleasure. I'm about to call it out, fake. Ain't no one playing your shit.
All right, here we go. Today we have Michael Corleone Blanco, son of Griselda Blanco, a.k.a. the Godmother, who recently has a Netflix series on her life. Welcome to Vlad TV.
I appreciate you for having me.
Well, we've done a lot of interviews about your mom recently with Charles Cosby. So I think it's only right to start with your mom's story first and lead into your story. Now, your mom grew up in Colombia.
Medellin.
Where exactly?
El barrio Antioquia, also known as La Santísima Trinidad, the Trinity. And she was originally from Santa Marta and then moved to this neighborhood.
I didn't pick this guy because he's a big mobster or anything. I picked him because he was in the scene at this time, and he is the same age as I. You get it? He tells a broad story. His life was kind of tragic. I don't know how he's still walking around. Truth. He's lived a long life. At only, 46, 47 years old?
Neighborhood with my grandmother, and my grandmother was a lady of the night, I guess you could say. And this neighborhood was the only neighborhood where there was black people, prostitutes, and there was illegal gambling and reefer, cannabis at the time.
Keep in mind, he's not talking about America. He's lived in several different places. He's not talking about Miami right now. He's talking about another country. Listen.
Okay. And she grew up in extreme poverty. From what I understand, no electricity, no running water. What did you say it was like growing up in that type of environment?
We would have these conversations a lot during her visiting. She would explain to me why she became who she became and how poor she was. So she would tell me that she was so poor that she'd go to play soccer outside her house, but all the other little girls would make fun of her because she was so poor, and they would tell her, look at your feet, they're full of blood from the slaughterhouse, your mother can't even afford shoes for you, ha ha ha. And my mother would run home and hide in her closet. And she told me, Maikito, that those days were the days that I promised myself that my kids would never live in poverty.
Well, the story goes that when she was 11 years old, her and some other kids from her neighborhood kidnapped a 10-year-old kid and held him hostage. Do you know about this?
I got a fascination with Griselda. I ain't even gonna lie. Maybe it's because I'm from the area and grew up in the area and lived the era and was able to see the shit down there. But I got a fat dude. She ain't got no heart. I don't even fucking blame her. However, bitch was crazy as fuck. From a very young age, this story is very true. Listen to her son speak it. Don't get your information from anybody but anybody that's family. That's a lot of things you guys got to remember. When you're listening to shit like this, don't pay attention to the movies and the books written by a million people. You want to pay attention to the family members that lived it with them. They know best.
The story?
Yeah, it was a very wealthy engineer's son, I believe, and the Barrio Antioquia was split by a main street. So her gang, there was two gangs. It was my mother's gang that they were the lifters, they were pickpocketers. They call them Dales. They were pickpocket. And they came up with an idea to stop pickpocketing and hit it big. So I guess they kidnapped the engineer's son and they held him for a couple of days. I don't know if it's true. She never acknowledged that she killed the kid.
Right. The story is that they try to get a ransom. The parents wouldn't agree, wouldn't comply to it. And she ended up killing him at age 11. But she never confirmed the story.
She never confirmed it, but she was around 10, 11, yeah.
Okay. Did she talk about any murders she did as a kid?
Yay and nay. She would try to keep that kind of hidden from me. But I knew of other murders that she committed in person, just out of respect or something like that.
Okay. So then at 13 years old, she met her first husband, Carlos Trujillo.
Yes.
Very young age
Yeah.
to get married.
Yeah, Pestañitas ran the other side of the neighborhood. Carlos Trujillo. His name was Pestañas because he had.
His name is Michael Corleone Blanco. He's Grizel Blanco's son. He did an interview on Vlad TV, and I grew up in the same area he grew up in. So I want people to have a better understanding of my life. No, Sherry, you're not blocked. I want people to have a way better understanding of my life, because I do think there may be something that connects Ziggy to Summer. That's my opinion. I don't know this guy. Never met him that I know of. You never know. There's a lot of things I don't remember. All of us don't remember from our childhood, right? But I did grow up in the area that he grew up in. 100 million trillion %. And I know the lifestyle. And I know Ziggy's fake psychic shit. I could smell it a fucking mile away. Not to mention, I think she keeps showcasing a psychic I am personally related to.
Eyelashes, like my brother Black, his eyelashes were very long, and he fell in love with her.
I haven't seen that person since childhood. However, she looks very similar.
He would falsify documents, and he was the local bootlegger and numbers runner, and he kind of taught her that game, and then they got into marijuana.
Right.
I want you guys to take this in. I don't want to keep stopping, but I got some really cool fucking pictures. I'll try to download them. I got Ziggy, her dog, and Fred right back here. Y'all see my Halloween decorations yet? Hold on. Let me stop presenting for a minute. Let me move out of the way and see if I could turn some more lights on so you could see. I'll point them out. We leave those ones alone for now. This is Ziggy. Here's the little dog. Or no, this is Ziggy. Here's the little dog, and here's Fred. Can y'all see him? My husband knocked his fucking head off the other day. I had to fix him. We got some floppy britches right here. Jody Sue gave him his name. I got one of you too, Cher, but we'll be cool for right now. Oh shit. I fucked up. Hold on. All right, let's get back to this and just listen. Let's give it like a good 5 minutes before I interrupt again. Listen to the story of his mother in Colombia.
They had 3 kids, Dixon, Uber, and Osvaldo.
Yes.
And they had nicknames.
Yeah. El Negro, Piti, and Chiqui.
Right. El Negro because he had black hair.
Well, Pestañitas was from Afro-Latino descent. Like I said, El Barrio Antioquia, a lot of Afro-Latinos from the coast.
Mm-hmm.
So he was of a darker skin tone. So we just called him Black since he was little.
Right. And Uber, his nickname was?
Piti because he was skinny like a straw. Pitillo means straw in Colombian Latin.
Gotcha. And Osvaldo, his nickname was?
Chiqui because he was chiquitico, short, small.
Okay. Got it. Who's the spoiled one?
I'd say Chiqui.
Chiqui.
Yeah.
Right.
And me, of course.
Right. Of course. Because you were ultimately the youngest later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you mentioned, they started a marijuana dealing business in Colombia.
Everything. It was marijuana, extortion, numbers, and rooster fights.
Rooster fights.
Yeah. If you see El Patrón del Mal, they show when Pablo Escobar would go to El Barrio Antioquia with his boss. And his boss would have the VIP section. My mother kind of liked the guy before the wars, and they were contrabandistas, contrabanders. They would win goods from different countries into Colombia and resell them, but you couldn't sell nothing without my mother's permission, maybe.
Let me tell you a Cuban story for Key West. Has anybody ever visited Key West? There's chickens that run all over. Find out why they run up all over. Some research for y'all. I think it's the coolest shit ever. We had like a whole family of them, baby chicks and all, following us the last time I went down to visit. It's like almost right by the 90-mile thing from Cuba, the little stone they have down there. There's like a ton of chickens running around in that area. They last time I think we got the key lime pie things. I'm not a big Key West fan. I think it's too touristy. I never really got to be in the background of Key West to see what the land is actually like and the people that live there are like. But Key Biscayne is very important to this area at this time that we're going to listen about.
Electric domestics or marijuana.
Okay, but at one point that marriage went bad and they got into an argument.
No,
That's
public record. It's so Pestañita dies from hepatitis B in a New York hospital after they were tracking for years.
okay, because the story is that
With Lucid, agile teams don't have to start from square one. Need to run agile events with a high...
she had him.
They say she had him killed and El Capitan, Carlos Bravo, but neither of them were killed by her.
Really?
Yes.
So all this was false.
False, 100%. I wrote about it in my book.
Okay, was this something that she pushed to make herself more fearsome, or other people try to put that on her?
I think it was urban myth, because during the 1960s to like the 70s, she became like an urban legend, because first she was a known criminal, but then they made so much money with the contraband and sending reefer to the United States, her, El Capitan, later Rafico and everybody, that she became like a real estate.
So think about that. Weed was coming in the United States way prior. Brazil was over here in like the 60s, 50s. They started in New York. He's going to tell you about that. It isn't a business, a family business that started from the South. It actually started from the North. A lot of people get shit confused. And I want to go into, I have it up, but I don't know. We'll see how long I stay live for. I want to talk about another time when I lived down in Miami, and there was a lot of, I got to feel what it was like to see the Cubans come over with the dictatorship. I got to see what it was like for them to come over here and run from their country. And I lived there. I didn't live there when Elian Gonzalez went down there, but I remember the vibe and what it was like, and you know how you could cut the air with a knife. It was very tense at that time. The Elian thing happened after, and I don't know, I've studied a little bit about Elian, but I don't remember, because I research and listen to so much. I can't always remember all the stories, but maybe we'll get into that. And my immigration, like a lot of people, I could talk about this all day. A lot of people are against the immigration or for the immigration. I'm all fucking for it. You have no fucking clue how bad I am for immigration on Trump's side. However, in my opinion, because I grew up in Miami during that time and got to see it, I feel there should be different laws for different countries. And right now we are in really good standing with Cuba. However, pay attention to politics. That's all I can say. I think the immigration laws from Cuba to America should be different than Mexico to America. It's a different vibe. It's a different people. It's a different Spanish. They don't even speak the same Spanish, if you catch my drift. However, when you get into the illegal stuff, the drugs and the human trafficking that does happen on both ends, they collide. Study it. It's interesting as fuck if you're into that kind of gangster thing. I like watching the shit about the mobsters in New York, and it's just something I always been into. It interests me. We all have our own fucking interests, right? And when you grew up in an area and an era where things like this were going on, you can give commentary on it, educated. But we will get into the Elion stuff eventually. The UK is almost Muslim. Yeah. You got to think about the border and the people and what those people have been through, and all very bad. But you got to think about the politics when you cover things like this, because they're important, and there's different reasons for different people fleeing their countries.
They czar in Medellin. So a lot of people back then, nobody knew what a dealer was or a queen pin was. So you couldn't point the finger and say, oh, this lady's a drug trafficker. It didn't exist. The routes didn't exist. She basically created the routes. So she was a bit of like a political figure, I guess, in the city of Medellin, because she started buying up so much real estate from the dollars they were making in New York.
Okay. So her and Carlos Trujillo ended up divorcing at one point.
No, he died from hepatitis B in the hospital in 2 days.
Oh, so she was still married to him at the time.
Yeah. And she had her household with him. They all lived in New York, my brothers and him.
Okay. Because then at one point she met Alberto Bravo.
Yeah, El Capitan.
That happened in Colombia or in the States?
El Capitan was her childhood friend. They grew up. I think he was from Laureles, and she was from Barrio Antioquia. So all the rich kids, in order to get their weed and their drugs or have a prostitute, they would come to El Barrio Antioquia. And my mother basically was the queen of El Barrio. So they were teenagers, and they became real good friends. I guess later on he joins the Navy, and he helps her figure out how to transport more cannabis to the United States. Later.
Okay. So what year did she actually move into the United States?
Early 70s. By 1975, Pestañitas and El Capitan and my mother were already transitioning to crystallized cocaine and base. It was still base and then crystallized cocaine. Mm-hmm. And that's how they basically broke bread in the city of New York.
Okay, because she set up shop in Queens.
Yes.
And her and Alberto Bravo were married?
Yeah, they were married, but it's also like urban myth that they were married as lovers, or she had her husband from Colombia, but she needed United States citizenship, mm-hmm. and he had become a citizen.
Uh-huh.
So they did it for that.
Okay. And from what I understand, her business with Alberto Bravo started to really take off, where she was making millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
So what happened between her and Alberto? Because the story is an argument happened. He was cheating on her. A shootout occurred. He shot her. She killed him. But you're saying this is all nonsense.
Yeah, it's urban myth. And I had the conversation with her over and over again because, being a young man, I wanted to know, wait, but...
Vlad's an amazing channel. I know he has a lot of controversy around him with the Tupac shit, right? However... not just Michael Corleone, but he interviewed the other people involved that they speak of, like the Charles that they're speaking of right now that was in Los Angeles with the mom who traveled, like real shit.
He was your husband, right? And you loved him, right? And she plainly told me that they were best friends since they were little, that they never had sexual intercourse or nothing like that, and that she loved him as a brother. He invented the boat routes because he was in the Navy, so he had a lot of political ties as far as being able to use military boats to smuggle in the weed.
So think of it as like a TV ad with a catalog component where I can choose on the Roku app and immediately...
Okay, so what happened with their business relationship?
Nothing really happened with their business relationship. They were making...
He has an interesting story around his name. He's going to tell it. We'll hear it, Helen. It is an interesting name. He He claims he wasn't named after the gangster, Michael Corleone. However, he was, in my opinion, after he tells the story. So I'll disagree with him. I love this interview. I watched it like 3-4 times the last week or so. This is what I do.
Money, and my Pestañita dies, Carlos Trujillo dies. They continue on their organization. My mother and El Capitan Alberto need more goons. So my mother was on her way to Pereira because my brothers were motocross world champions and Pan American champions. So they had a race in Pereira, and there was there was a lot of rumors about these 3 brothers in Pereira that they would kill and eat from the dead. And they were bank robbers. So the eldest brother robbed the biggest bank in Colombia, which is called El Banco Nacional, the national bank. And that was my father. So my mother ends up in Pereira looking for enforcers. She leaves my brother's race after they win the race, and she meets these 3 gentlemen, and she tells them, look,
I wasn't paying attention. They're still talking about his dad. But there's another guy you're going to hear about. This is a really good interview. I'm going to take the time with y'all and try to finish this all today. And then I want to go over, I'm just going to go over this shit. Not that I don't care about Summer's case. I just think there's a lot more to it that people aren't paying attention to. And I think it's dangerous. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. And I'm not going to cover it in that fashion, but I can cover it in a way where I could come out here and tell you about my life, what I've lived. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about the people I think Ziggy could be connected to, but I'm not going to do it in a fashion that's going to get me fucking murdered either. Y'all get it? We're going to watch some interviews of the lifestyle of Miami, the rich and the famous. I'm going to tell you what it was like living down there at different points in my life with different stories from my own life. That's where my channel's going right now. They can all get over there and fight all they want and do this dumb shit and try to get people, like Jody says, murdered, killed, hurt. I'm done feeling the brunt of the fucking pain. However, I think it's time Ziggy fucking dies. Because if what's really I'm thinking that I can't come out here and say is true, you're in some shit, bitch. Send that to my fucking family down there.
I have this new industry I'm co-creating, and it's Kane. It's going to be the future, but I don't have enough muscle. I hear you guys are the baddest of the bad. Yeah. Why don't you come with me to Medellin, help me deal with a couple of things I got to tie up, and we'll take it from there. And then with the years, they were still workers. And my brother Black Dixon and Negro sees that she's kind of falling in love with her main enforcer, which was my father.
Oh, okay. So, because in 1975, she gets caught with 13 pounds of cocaine.
I think it was 100 kilos. It was the first ever, Operation Banshee.
Right.
Yeah.
37 other people were arrested as well. So she ends up fleeing back to Colombia to avoid arrest.
She was the first female to ever place $1 million bond in cash.
She placed the bond and then she
cleared it back to Medellin.
Jump bail, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so she moved back to Colombia, and that's when she met Dario Sepulveda, your dad.
Yes.
And that was because she needed the muscle. Because in the Netflix movie, it's a very different story. He's a hitman sent to go kill her, and then he falls in love with her, and he kills his own boss, and then so this is just all make-believe.
Yeah. My mother and my father never had another boss.
Right.
My mother would tell me, I've never bowed down. Don't you bow down to nobody.
Okay. When you watch this play out on Netflix, what'd you think?
Can't really comment about it. My opinion,
yes,
is that the story deserved a lot more.
Okay. So now your mom, Griselda, and your dad, Dario, are having a relationship. She ends up getting pregnant.
Yes.
And right before she gives birth, they end up.
We knew that like if we wanted to achieve a high quality investigation using generative AI, we need to
Getting married.
Yeah. But you could say that. It was a ceremony for the family. I think there was a preacher or something, but I don't think they ever had like a wedding license, or there's no public record of them being married.
Okay, common law marriage, basically.
Common law marriage, yeah. She was still married to El Capitan in the United States.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So then August 5th, 1978, you're born in Medellin, Colombia.
Sí. Belén Rosales.
And I guess your mom was a huge fan of the Godfather movie series.
He's going to get into why his name came around, but you heard he was born in 78. I was born in 77. We're a year apart. So that means we grew up at exactly the same time down in the area I'm speaking of. I could tell you how it was to live down there.
Yeah.
Because she named you after Michael Corleone.
That's another urban myth. So
I disagree.
the kid is born, everybody's there. My father's brother, mi tío Paco, was named Miguel. So they named me after him, Miguel Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And he's entering the room, and I guess he had been partying, and he's in there, and he's like, so what are you gonna name the kid? And they're like, we still don't know. We were thinking about naming him Miguel, and he goes, you should name him Michael. As a matter of fact, you should name him Michael Corleone. You love the movie, you're the godmother, and he's the godfather. Name the kid Corleone. Corleone, and it stuck until my mother had it taken away from my legal documents.
Oh, so you're not actually Corleone anymore.
No, I am, but legally my mother had it taken off my Colombian birth certificate. So when I look at my birth certificate, it's no longer there.
Okay, so now you're a baby growing up in Colombia. At this point, your mom and your dad, they're still in business together?
Yeah. My dad had never touched money like that. I mean, he was a bank robber, so he had touched pesos, but now he's in charge of being the main enforcer for her network, and they're dealing with dollars, and they're in Peruvian and Bolivian base to Medellin. And it got out of control because a lot of people don't understand this, but the first crack epidemic didn't hit Queens, New York first, or it didn't hit Washington, D.C. or LA first. The first crack epidemic hit Medellin, Colombia, and it was base because Peruvians, it's part of their culture to smoke base cocaine. And they were just getting into crystallizing it. So my mother had established these laboratories that she brought chemists in that she met in New York and in Peru, but the main chemist was from New York. And she brought him to Medellin, and they started crystallizing in a neighborhood called San Paulo. So to this day, if you ever go to Medellin, when you go to this neighborhood, you'll see like these houses, they look like they're stuck together, but they're different colors. But probably the first floor is all three houses, because that's where they would put up the tables and the lamps and the ether and everything to crystallize the base to send to the United States.
Okay, so you had mentioned your dad was a bank robber
And a killer.
at one point. Do you know how many people your dad killed?
A lot. I mean, personally, I saw him kill around 2 people, 3 people, but they say Pablo Escobar wouldn't look my father in the eyes because he knew the water that would wet him. And then in the future, my brother, Earthquake, Terremoto, they call him Terry 500 because he had a 500 motorcycle TT. He became Pablo Escobar's #1 sicario. He did his first hit for Pablo at the age of 10. And it was because Pablo coerced him, knowing that he was Rubén Darío's son. So he knew he would be a good kid.
Okay, so there's a huge age difference between you and your brothers.
My brother Cheeky, 9 years.
9 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, not that huge. And then the oldest brother is how many years different?
Probably 15, 16. My mother had him when she was 15. So my brother right now is 58, 59.
Got it. Okay. And you said, in the midst of such a dysfunctional and dangerous life, my gordita, my mom, always had time for me. I was her favorite child, her spoiled baby.
Yeah.
So she would spoil you a lot.
Yeah. I guess I'm a good father. I was raised by different men in my life, but I crave that affection from my mother because my mother was so into her baby boy. So I was like her ñaña, we call it. So I was always pick out, mommy. I was always with her everywhere. We'd shower together. I was always her like little mascot. But then I was my father's mascot too. You get it? But it's like a misconception. A lot of people say she was a bad mother, but to this day, I can remember my mother putting vapor rub on me, in my family, we have a lot of bronchial problems. So I remember her nursing me back to health and a lot. And even during, I'm not going to tell you she wasn't perfect, but my mama took good care of me.
Right. And your dad spoiled you as well.
Yeah.
But you did say that your dad was uncontrollable and violent.
Yeah, very violent.
So what would you see your dad do at home?
So this is my Rust project. I have 4 terminal clients, all with this chat interface running off one server. And what we're going to implement and one shot is a /user command.
Name it. I remember walking into a sauna and my dad straight up telling me this is bazuco and that's cocaine. Psh, shut up, little fucker. Stop asking so many questions. You know what it is. Walk out. I was 5 years old when he killed a man, and it was.
My dad was similar to that. I don't know if any of y'all had a dad like that, but that's how mine was. You see the shit, you fucking get the fuck out of here. My dad would have kilos of coke in front of me, no fucking kidding. Weighing it up. Do you guys remember the little metal weighers? Anybody remember that? You weigh your weed with it, you weigh your coke with it. I know all of y'all ain't fucking like perfect, didn't have a family. I bet you 90% of you have been in a family that's connected to some shit, and you would discover it if you discovered the shit like I did in my family. Honest to God shit. Like, for instance, someone connected to these people, I recently just found their family up here in Pittsburgh. I couldn't fucking believe it. Nobody's ever told me that. I would have had contact with the people down where I grew up years ago if I would have known that. Crazy shit.
Probably my fault. It was a club.
The people that lived in Surfside, not these people. I don't know who was connected to who. I was a baby.
It was like a party in his finca, and I grabbed the gentleman's wife's butt from the back.
5 years old.
5 years old. I grew up different, you know. I grew up around women and parties and stuff like that. And this is when he had kidnapped me to Colombia, and we're at his finca, and he was having a couple bosses over, and all his bodyguards were there.
Like, this is an American citizen. He lives in America, and his family, as a little kid from down in that area, were playing games with him. Like, I'm going to kidnap you here. I'm going to take you there. They were fighting over him, and he sees the most horrific not fit. That came out wrong. He sees the most horrific thing that he can never forget about the time that he was kidnapped, and he's going to get into that story here in a little bit. So pay attention. Imagine being this kid, living through the things he lived through, and he's still standing. This is a strong dude, in my opinion.
And the gentleman was actually part of his crew, and he brought his new wife. And he brings his new wife, and one of the other little kids, I think it was my nanny's son, kept on like egging me out to get me in trouble. He's like, grab her ass, and I don't know what. And I did, and the gentleman goes, "Este hijo de putica, this little son of a bitch," and he grabbed me like from my hand and he moved me. And it's like one of those scenes from a movie that the music turns off and everybody looks. And my dad got up and he said, "What did he just call my son?" and grabbed the guy by his neck. My dad was real tall. He was like 6'2", big. After eating all that American food, heavy guy, and grabs the guy, starts pistol whooping him in front of everybody, and he tells his bodyguard to take me upstairs, and they're dragging him out. And I remember getting away, coming down the stairs, hearing the shots, seeing the guy on the floor, and then as they're ushering me off, he tells his other bodyguard, Corleone, he's like, Cabe, take him upstairs. And I remember the heat from the gas. And I'm inside. And I remember that, boom. And they had just poured gas on him and threw the match on him. And his wife was there. I remember her screaming and everything. The crazy thing is that my dad tells his wife, the gentleman's wife, you got two choices. You can cry here all you want all night and die with him, or I'll give you a job as being my son's nanny. She later became my nanny. Yeah.
The wife
of the man he had just murdered.
So this lady has traveled all of America and everywhere with this guy, raised him, and daddy said bye-bye to his daddy. I mean, to her husband. And he's seen it. Imagine seeing that, because he was a little kid and grabbed some girl's ass. Dude, I'm telling you, I told you guys the other day, them Spanish guys, they don't play starting at a young age. They're grabbing. Oh, the memories. Truth. Not a lie, not fake, not a fake fucking life. As those people have come out here and said.
We just
became my nanny.
Became your nanny.
Yeah.
What kind of nanny was she?
She was a very good nanny, so much that she took care of all my cousins, and all my cousins would have sex with her all the time.
Okay.
You know, type of, it's a Colombian story, you know, out there, money overrides everything. So the guy gave her a house, took care of the guy's family. My father would kill people by accident. He was so prone to it that he would kill people by accident. My mother bought him a conversion van, you know, the big bubbly conversion vans from the 80s.
Yeah.
And leaving that finca when they were a couple still, he's bending a corner all drunk, and the big metal mirrors, he hits a regular civilian that was a farm worker. He hits him with the mirror, bending the corner drunk. He didn't mean to, and he killed the guy. Grabbed the guy, picked him up, took him to his house, and said, this I didn't mean to do, but here's $20,000. $20,000 back then in the late 70s was like, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. He basically secured that family's future.
I mean, what was it like to be 5 years old and see your father killed in front of you?
Shocking, but normal to me, I guess, because my cousins and my uncles were always shooting. And if there wasn't a gun, there was machetes. If there wasn't machetes, whatever there was.
Okay, so you're originally growing up in Colombia, and then you guys go back to the U.S.
Yeah, we make it through Mexico.
Right.
And we get back to the States.
Now, you actually had U.S. legal papers, because I guess you guys got asylum because...
No, I got asylum.
You got asylum.
I got asylum. I got the Convention Against Torture. But none of my family, all my families were resident citizens. They had money. So they would pay lawyers and they get their... Matter of fact, my brother Black, when he was released from federal prison, he was released in Morgan Hill, California, in the Bay Area, and we lived together there.
Okay, so you guys moved back to the U.S., and I think you were 1 year old, 1979. You guys moved to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was the first time we came back to the States.
Right. And from what I understand, once Griselda was in Miami, things just became massive.
Yeah. She released a lot of the base cocaine that she would get from her Peruvian and Bolivian connects.
I believe when I was a kid, we moved from Pittsburgh to Miami. I think it was 1983 or 84. I was there a total of, as a child. I was like, I did 2 years of third grade in the summer. My teacher's name was Miss Armeo, and she was a bitch, and my dad tried to beat her up. Long story. Her daughter was a cunt. I oversee her. I'll fuck her up. Hi, Jess.
You saw Scarface Sosa? So the gentleman Sosa gives her hundreds of base cane. Back then, they weren't crystallizing it yet. And she had to crystallize it in the States, but she had already created the crack epidemic in Medellin. So she's releasing base in New York and in Miami. So now all the Latin community is smoking crack. Before they made it crack cocaine, it was still base, and it was more addictive than crack. So they got a stronghold in the Miami market because now they're crystallizing the cocaine as well. So now the Cubans are involved. She's paying them to be her corner dealers. She's basically mimicking what she did in New York, but now in Miami. But in Miami, it was Miami still wasn't what you see now. It was like a cowboy land, and it was an Italian land. A lot of the mobsters had their power there, and the beach was Jewish, Italian, and maybe some Cubans. And then my mother did the same immigration wave that she did in New York with everybody from Barrio Antioquia. She got everybody to move to Miami and then set the route. And she started buying all the real estate, in good places, the beach, Palm Island, Alton Road, Sunny Isles, Bal Harbor. She started buying just everything, buildings, houses.
And this is where she essentially became the queen of cocaine.
Yes. No.
No?
In Queens, they used to call her the La Reina de Queens, the Queen of Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And then then in Miami, yes, she becomes the queen of cocaine.
Right. You said everything changed in Miami. People are saying, how come these people have so much money behind your backs?
Yeah.
And, people started to really talk. There's rumors that she was making over $1 billion.
Yes.
She had 1,500 dealers on payroll, distribution from Miami to LA to everywhere else.
Everybody worked for my mother.
Everyone worked.
Judges, cops, name it. Everybody worked for my mother.
Well, but by 1981, when you were 3 years old, the Miami drug wars were in full swing.
The second Cowboy Wars.
Right.
The first Cowboy Wars, I was too little for that, but it was in the early 70s, late 70s.
Right. But the second one was in 1981.
Yeah.
And that was actually the most murders that ever occurred were during that time. There's rumors that she was responsible for up to 250 murders. Can you comment on that at all?
Might be an understatement from what I understand, I mean, a lot.
Basically, apart from the actual wars, they say that sometimes she would people. It was insanity during that time. Now, you were too young. You're 3 years old. So I assume you didn't remember any of this stuff.
Actually, up till I was 5 and 6, I was always present around my family. Yeah, they try to hide a lot from me, but.
Whoa, man, amazing car. When did you become a millionaire?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the young.
I don't want to say it, but I guess violence was an everyday thing. And if it wasn't people like to blame my mother. But from her mouth and from other people that were always around her, my cousins, my female cousins and brothers, they would tell me, they're like, you know what sucks? What? That La Gordita gets blamed for everything your father and your uncles did. Because they were savages. They came from Pereira. Like I said, they would eat from the dead. And
was that true though? Was your dad actually eating dead people?
No, it's a phrase that we say in Colombia, que matan y comen del muerto. In other words, they're so savages that they might turn to cannibalism.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not real.
Right. And your mom would have these massive parties. during this time.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. And I guess you had a sculpture of her face.
A bronze sculpture in our house in Palm Island.
And I guess Escobar and Carlos later would show up and rub.
Yeah, everybody would
for
rub
good
it
luck.
Good luck. Yeah.
Now, I remember when I interviewed Charles Cosby, he said that your mom actually started Pablo Escobar in the business.
Yes, 100%.
Can you talk about that?
So Pablo's boss and Pablo were contrabandistas, but Pablo was a little famous in Medellin because he was a real good car thief and cemetery thief. In other words, he'd go to funerals, and when people would be buried with jewelry and stuff, not only would he dig them up and steal whatever they had on, but he would steal the plot, shave the plot off and resell the plot again. But he was into stealing a lot of cabs and cars, Renaults. That's why he would race Renaults. And the only place you can actually conduct criminal activity and chop cars and all that was in El Barrio Antioquia. And my mother ran those rackets as well. Mm-hmm. But it really, at that time, my father was already a godfather. Pablo was a car thief still. Mm-hmm. So there'd be times that, like, I've heard of a time that he bought a fleet of cabs that they hit in like a whole weekend. They had hit for like 10, 20 taxis. And my father had shut down El Barrio, cerrar El Barrio. They do that a lot in Colombia. Like when you have warfare, they'll close the whole vicinity. Kind of how cops do a perimeter. My father would do a perimeter and start tying up loose ends. And Pablo was trying to make his way into El Barrio with the 20 taxis. And he makes his way in, and my father straight up kind of got a little loud with him and told him, do me a favor, grab you, your little goons, and these 20 cabs, take your ass back to Envigado. We're busy today.
Okay. And early on, what was your mom's relationship with Escobar?
Of a mentor, and my mother was seen as something else in Colombia. Like I said, eventually everybody knew she was a criminal and she was this queen pin. But at one time, she was just a political lady that owned the whole city. All the best real estate, the best houses, the best buildings, and she owned businesses. So she was like a real estate czar. And then cat's out the bag. There's too much money, cocaine money. She starts buying up malls and supermarkets and land that people of corporate entities wanted. So if you were a multinational and you wanted to invest in Colombia and you came to Medellin, you wanted those 10 square city blocks to build your supermarket. Yeah, Griselda owns that. You got to buy that from Griselda. So she had a lot of political influence and she had a lot of business influence. But once the killing that my fathers and my uncles started doing in Medellin because of the base epidemic, then the cat was out the bag. Then everybody knew. But Pablo's boss was a contrabander, and he was a very contrabander. He had made a lot of money in San Andresitos. San Andresitos are like flea markets, right, throughout the whole country. So he had a lot of money, and he got into cocaine. And the only way you could ship the routes, use the routes, was with Griselda's permission. Later on, Pablo took over the routes. So he starts working with my mother, but then he tries to do some sides, and then he tries to do his own routes. And my mother didn't like that too much. So I guess my mother was about to do it to him. And Pablo would always come and hang out in Barrio Antioquia, hang out with the beautiful prostitutes that basically probably worked for my mother's racket as well. And they start meeting each other a lot. And then my mother kind of starts mentoring him and kind of, I don't want to say brainwashing, but kind of throwing the little nit at him. Listen, you might have to get rid of your boss in the future for me or for yourself. Because if you don't kill him, he's going to kill you because we're too friendly. And then lo and behold, the guy puts a hit out on Pablo while he's in prison. And then Pablo jumps out and kills him. So they had a bond. Right. My mother was like, hey, thanks for that. I wanted him out of it anyways. Yeah. And then Pablo tells my mother, how can I get money like this? And she goes, pump your brakes, but in the future, I got you. And that's what it was. His first 100 kilos he called up my mother and he said, like, I got 100 kilos. And she's like, that's it? Ship them, they're done, half an hour. And she made him his first $1 million.
At one point, things started going bad with your parents. And was it because he was having affairs with other women or having kids outside his marriage, or what exactly happened?
Yeah, well, yeah, he had kids outside the marriage, but she didn't know about that until I told her that in the future. But my mother would call him the actor. And people thought it was because he had Porsches and he had the fastest motorcycle in Colombia and because he lived the life of an actor. But the truth is, my mother would tell me, I didn't call him an actor because he looked like an actor, tall, dark, and handsome. It was because he was real good at lying like an actor. And I knew he had all these side pieces, but I still loved him, Michael. And he would tell me, I dream with him till this day.
Okay, because at one point he was concerned with you essentially being around her in the US, and he decided to essentially kidnap you and take you back to Colombia. It's a pretty big deal. What exactly was his rationale for doing that? Because that's a very extreme type of behavior. I mean, yes, she has other kids, but this is a baby, and obviously she's extremely attached to you.
Well, I wrote about it in my book, My Mother, the Godmother. I think it was deeper than that. I think it was the drugs got to them because the killing was still an everyday thing. And now we were at war with Rafico. And mind you that Rafico at one time was my mother's best friend and my dad's good friend. And I guess my dad was like, okay, something's going to happen. Either we're going to die and this kid's going to die. And what do I do? Plus, I just left her. My father had just left my mother for this beautiful blonde lady, and my mother was going to have her killed. So my father's plan was to take her to Colombia as well. And I guess my father just saw that the kingdom was falling. And then they were co-parenting, I guess you could say. And my dad comes to pick me up at the penthouse we had in Broward and Fort Lauderdale. And said, we're going shopping. And next thing you know, I'm on a private jet and I'm landing in Bogota, and I look out the window and I'm like, oh man,
Okay, because you're only 5 years old at the time. You're
about to be 6, yeah.
Yeah, 5, 6 years old. And now you're living in Colombia. Well, for the second time.
Third round.
Third time, right. So now you're with your dad full time, but he's still doing his thing. There's wild parties, there's drugs,
yeah,
everything else like that. How long was it were you separated from your mom?
A matter of weeks.
Just weeks?
I would say a month.
A month?
At the most.
Okay. So she was determined to get you back.
Yeah.
So she actually hires a hitman.
I don't want to say hired. I mean, they were probably all her hitters. And then they coerced a lot of law enforcement.
This shit is crazy. Listen to this story of him being kidnapped and how he watched his dad die. This breaks my heart. Like, to sit there and watch his real emotion, all the things this young man seen before he was 5 years old. Fucking crazy, man.
In the area, and they still didn't have the whereabouts of my dad's finca. My dad had he had an arsenal built, an underground arsenal, had all his weapons, una caleta, to hide the weapons and his money in this new farm that he had bought outside of Bogota. And we had gone to a mall, and I guess the people doing homework, or one of the bosses that owed my dad, I think he owed my dad like $500,000. He didn't want to pay my dad. And I guess he leaked it back to my mom and Rivy and all them. So then they knew what mall my dad had a business at. And my dad was real good at not having pictures taken of him. Like, if you see the Kings of Cocaine, there's only a couple pictures of them, my uncles and my dad. But nobody really knew what he looked like. So the people that were doing homework at the mall knew that there'd be this tall, big guy dressed in $1,000 suits, and his son would be dressed just like him. And I guess we went to pick up the money from that business. And the guys doing homework followed us all the way back to the ranch. Nobody knew where the ranch was. So if it didn't happen like it happened, they were probably going to come to the ranch, but it would have been a long day.
Okay, so from what I understand, you were with your dad, you guys are driving, and you get pulled over by some police officers, or so you think.
No, they were police officers, 100%.
Okay, they weren't regular police officers.
It's Colombia.
Yeah.
We were leaving La Finca in a bulletproof Blanco that my dad had made it bulletproof. And I guess it was so heavy that on the way out, the tire popped. So we had to leave it there, and then we jumped in a Cavalier. Back then, it's an American car in Bogota, and they didn't have a license plate. They threw something on it, no license plate or whatever, and we left in that. And he told 3 of the gentlemen to stay, 3 of his bodyguards to stay, and we only went with Corleone, and life is crazy. We're exiting, and we're making it to El Pueblo, to the dentist, because I had been complaining about a toothache for days. And as we're driving there, they approach us in 2 motorcycles, and one was a lieutenant, because in Colombia only lieutenants can have a beard, mustache. If you're not a lieutenant, you can't have a mustache. And they started harassing him. And he thought it was just a shakedown. He in his mind, they didn't even know who he was. But the truth is, he had just bought this ranch with like 100 acres, prime cattle and bulls from Spain. And they knew how to do it. They knew what they were doing. It was planned for days. And my father's arguing with them. Look, guys, listen, I got to take my kid to the dentist. Here's a couple $100. And they took the money. And they're like, nah, it's not that easy, because our head lieutenant wants.
Hold on, where am I at here? He's kind of cute, huh, T? I think he is. All right.
To come talk to you. And then my father's like, for what? This, and that. And he goes, come on. He goes, yeah, I'll go talk to him. Let's go to the station. There, yeah, follow us to the station. And as we're driving, my dad's like, okay, this might be more than a shakedown, but he still thought it was a legal thing. So he grabs his Colt 45s and he gives it to me. And Cabe, I think he only had like 2 38s or something like that. And gives me the weapon. And as we're driving, then boom, 2 other motorcycles pull up. And then I noticed it, and then my father noticed it, and he tells Kyle, he goes, "Esto es extraño." I remember saying, he goes, "This is weird." And then they're like, pull over now. And my dad's like, "No, I'm gonna keep on driving." And then they're like, "This way." And Cabe tells my father, "The station ain't that way. La estación del pueblo es para allá." And then they kind of peeped it. And then they threw the motorcycle in front. My dad jumps out and he's trying to negotiate. He's like, "Look, John, we can still fix this. What do you guys need? Here's more money." Boom, they handcuff him with his left hand to the door. They handcuff him. And
this breaks my fucking heart.
They peeped it right there. And I guess it was, I want to say, a matter of seconds.
American.
And like photographically, I know you want to say I was young, but I have such photographic memory from this time and most of the times in my life. And
kidnapped to another country.
A Supra, a Volkswagen, and another cop car, police cop car. I mean, police, like it's painted police, and here comes more lieutenants. And all I heard was the tires screeching. And I looked, and I remember seeing the Volkswagen, and I'm like, a yellow Volkswagen. It's not a cop car. And then I see everybody jumped out. And come on, I grew up. I'm with bandidos every day in Miami. And I saw the bandits. And I'm like, oh. And then I just heard Kari jumped out. And he just started airing them all out over the car with his 238s. Boom, boom, beam, beam, beam. And then my dad's like, Maikito. Like, give me the weapon. So I kind of stumbled as I tried to give it to him. Kind of stumbled with it, and I look and Gavi's running, and it's like a cliff. So he just like they're shooting at him now, and he just jumbled. And my dad was breaking the handcuff. You know, as a big man, breaks the handcuff. And yeah, to this day, like, you know, I don't want to kind of like, I didn't hand him the weapon quick enough. So he hands the handcuffs and they're shooting, and, you know, now there's bullets flying through the car. I'm in the back seat, but this chair is I'm trying to open it, and my dad takes off, and finally the chair like somehow opens up, and they're just shooting and shooting. And I remember seeing like the bandit it was one Uzi at that moment. And my dad looks at me, and I'm already stumbling out the car, and I'm running, Papi, Papi. And he's already making it like to the school. He already had a couple of yards. And then he turns around and he goes, Maikito. And he comes back and he runs towards me. And he snatches me up. And then as he's grabbing me, I look to my left and I see the gentleman with the Uzi like and aim good. And then I get so scared because then it starts, tra, tra. And then I look to my right, and there's a gentleman over there with a Luger. And it was a German gun. And I recognize those guns because the old boy had those guns before. Here in Miami, he had a whole bunch delivered to him. And 5-6 steps, and all you saw was a ta, ta, ta. And we fell together. And the impact from the floor was so much that I kind of like got knocked out for like a minute. Everything went white. And then
under 5 years old, this American citizen who was kidnapped to another country watched his father, where this is done every day there. There's wars over there at this time between Pablo, his people, other people. It's not like America. They don't have the laws and the rules that we do. And this is real life shit. Like, this young man really fucking witnessed this shit at this time in his life. Could you imagine being under 5 years old and seeing this? And he will later tell us that he found out in real life that his mother ordered the hit. Or if he didn't already say it, I was running around my house. I can't wait to hear it, Helen. I think everybody should be able to have an opportunity to come out and tell their story without being scared to death. Like, this is real shit. Like, this kid really, and there's so many people around me that I grew up with at that time. I was witnessing them coming home. There was many people that would be going from country to country down in Miami during this time. There was a lot of travel. Their kids went with them. So you get to witness how they were when they came back. You know, I told the story, I think, the other day, if not to you guys, to my husband. My mom was nuts. Nothing like this, but she would train my little brother, in my opinion, as a child to become the man I think he is today, in my opinion, a murderer and a rapist. You know, when he was 3 years old, my mom was always drunk. She never paid attention to the kids. And she would give my brother at 3 years old pocket knives to go out into the community with. He knocked a bay window off somebody's house. He robbed a church. 3 and 4 years old. You can train your sons to be jackasses if you're not a good parent. And do I think my mother did that on purpose? No. However, I do think that she was an alcoholic that didn't pay attention to her kids. So even when you get bad parents, and I'm not saying this guy's parents were bad, because they're not. As you hear him say, his parents took care of him when he had the flu, when he had congestion, when he had things of that. His mother loved the shit out of him, and he was spoiled. But in my life, it was a different story with my siblings. You know, my mother was a fucking alcoholic bitch. Truth. She didn't watch the younger kids. It was, here's the pocket knife. Go do what you want. That trains somebody from a very young age to be a criminal. This young man turned his life around. Later in life, he does amazing things. He's in a recording studio. He's in the movie industry. He took rights for the name of his family. And he wants to make a difference with the people he's related to. And you can see that in his interviews. I love the interviews he does. I didn't even watch them all. I think I watched part 1, 2, and part of 3, where he's going over the movie they made. It's so funny to watch somebody from the family listen to somebody else tell somebody's family story. You always got to get your news from the source, in my opinion. This dude has a fascinating background.
I look.
So this one is cool. You basically connect your Shopify account and it's able to pull in your product catalog. And then from there, you can actually choose the...
And I'm falling on my father and his back was just riddled.
So he died. Yeah. Take him on.
Because he lived it. How many people have come out and told his story? How can
You want some water?
this is what you're seeing, is true emotion of the life this man lived.
Grab your balls, young man. Shit always makes me cry.
So your dad actually could have gotten away.
Yeah.
But he died trying to save you.
I got the death certificate, 27 bullets, and not one past his chest cavity.
Man.
He was a big guy.
So he was holding you as
we fell, yeah.
As he's getting shot to death.
Yeah. He falls. I see his back riddled, and I'm still, Papi, you know, I get it. Because obviously I've been around violence for these 6 years of my life. And I'm like, oh my God, my dad is dying. My dad's bleeding, but this isn't real. I guess at that age, I was stuck between what is real and what's not. Because you're a child, but I was already living a life of probably a teenager already. I was already advanced on violence and drugs and women and cocaine and crack. And I'm trying to shrug him like Pops, you're good. Get up. And then they start rushing towards us. And I kid you not, like a fucking movie. The bells rang. I could hear the fucking birds chirp. And it was in front of a church and a Catholic school. So then as they're rushing, the bells ring, which means like the school is out. And the church doors open up. And nuns and schoolgirls, they come running out. Because I guess they saw this little boy. And they're like, no lo maten. And they jumped on me. And they all got on top of me as they were trying to pull me out. And they were going to kill the nuns. Like one of them,
they were trying to kill you, right?
So in my mind, I'm thinking they're going to kill me because, you know, it's weird to say, but even at that time, I understood patronismo and Godfather. You know, I understood that if you kill the Godfather, kill the kid too, so he doesn't come back for me.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like, okay, we're dying right now. And I still smell the nun's clothing on me, holding me. That nun wouldn't let me go. And they're like, grab the kid. And they grabbed one of the nuns and they threw her off. And then the schoolgirls jumped on me. And they're like, man, listen, this is not going to happen. Then I heard sirens of the ambulances and real police, or the cops that weren't bought, coming. And I look and they just got in their cars and they skirted off. And the gentleman, a police officer comes, the ambulance pulls up, and they throw us in the ambulance. And my dad was still, Maikito was still talking to me. And he was gasping and choking on blood. And he flatlined right in front of me.
Sorry for your loss, man. I mean, at the time you don't know it, but years later you find out that your mom essentially killed your dad.
Yeah. I mean, how can I explain it? I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. And growing up, becoming a bad guy or you know, whatever, I would ask her these things constantly and frequently. Like, hey, let's be honest with me this weekend, you know, and she would never acknowledge it, you know, and then I remember, like I said, I remember my brother's ex-wife that we lived in the Bay Area. I remember her talking to my mother and always telling her, oh, do you remember how good looking Dario was? He was a good looking old man. He was beautiful, you know? And I like I tell you, my mother would say, I still dream with that guy to this day. I still love that guy to this day. And I would ask her, because she was my legal guardian. And this is in the Bay Area, living in Morgan Hill, Santa Clara County. And
man, those were the days. I love these games back in 2019.
I'd tell her, I'd ask her, hey, is it true? Did my mommy kill my dad? And she's like, that's a conversation you have to have with her, not me. She never acknowledged it.
So your mom never admitted to it?
Nah, never. And then everybody around me would tell me that it was Rafico. That Rafico had put $1 million on all of us. And it was his people that found us at the mall. And it was his people that found the ranch. And then later on, living with my older brother Negro in our finca in Medellin, when I guess you could say even back then I had the plan to write this book and tell this story about my family. So I'd ask him constantly. And one day I was drinking aguardiente, smoking good weed at the ranch. He just plain out told me, because I was talking to him about a friend of ours, and I'm like, oh, but he was my mom's hitter, and I remember him, and he was a great dude. And he's like, yeah, my mom had him killed too. And I'm like, wait, and he goes, you know the truth now? And I go, what? And then my brother Black told me, he goes, yeah, mommy had your dad killed.
When you heard that?
I was 17.
At 17, when you heard that from a reliable source,
yeah,
were you mad at your mom, or was
I think I always knew, Vlad.
You always knew.
I think I always knew.
Yeah. Okay.
And I never judged her for it, even though as a boy without a father, I kind of hated her for a minute for it, but I never hated her for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's my mama.
How soon after that situation did you go back to the States with your mom?
That's what I love about him. He realizes that his mom loved him so much that she would be willing to kill for him. Imagine being in his mind. That's how I would think of it. How do you go on and hate your mom for doing bad things? You have to remember the good things your mom did for you, knowing that your mom killed somebody just as close to you as her. The mom always carries the seed. We carry the babies for 9 months. How do you make the choice? Like, what side do you take? Do you never talk to your mom again? Or do you stay close to your mom? His mom loved him. She spoiled. Wait till you hear the story about the theater. She did major things for him.
Right away.
Right away.
And this is a real human with a real story. It's not fake or made up. There's legal court documented proof of the things this man has lived.
So they hold me at the police station, and not a lieutenant, but like a regular beat cop. I guess he wasn't a corrupted one, and he was right next to me. He was like babying me. You know, this kid just saw this assassination, and he's talking to me, and I grab him, and I'm like, look, what's your name? This, and that. And he's like, I'm like, are you one of the good ones? And he's like, yeah. And I go, you want to make a lot of money? And he's like, what? And I tell him, my dad has an arsenal on around $1 million. And I know that my family will pay you if you help me kill the cops and help me kill the bandidos that just killed my father, I got you. I'll take care of you. I can take you right now to show you the stats. You want to come with me? And he's like, no, calm down. And then my aunts had made it up from Pereira. This is hours later. And my tia Mari, she's my godmother, she comes into the holding cell and they hug me. And then the police officer, the good police officer, tells her, I need to talk to you. Can I go talk to you? Yeah. Look, something's wrong with this boy because he just tried to coerce me to go these people.
Okay, so now your aunts,
they're coming to get me from Pereira.
They're meeting with the cop.
Change the subject a little bit here. He's talking about crooked cops and crooked judges. You know, that shit happens in America every day. Let's take a break and let's go back to Tennessee for a minute. This was posted yesterday by Brian Etten. We'll just watch it for a few minutes. I want you guys to pay attention to what goes on in our own politics here at home.
Please click to subscribe. Behind the scenes, I've been working really, really hard still on the Kentucky case, the case of Kentucky Sheriff Mickey Steins, who shot and killed Judge Kevin Mullins. I haven't done an episode in a while, but I've been just working it hard. Again, sort of behind the scenes, trying to get people to talk to me. A lot of people are nervous, but in this episode, I do have a new woman who has now come forward and has quite a story to share. I'm going to get to her in a second. If you've been following, you know that this whole thing, the murder of the judge, opened up really just a big.
Let me say this, based on the shit I'm finding connected to the people I know up here in Pittsburgh, I'm going to say there's some shit like this going on right here in our city where a judge allows his son to go around and hurt young boys and people with his companies. And they're all people connected to me that connect to this area in Miami. I think this sort of thing goes on all over America. Hi, O'Toole. In my opinion, I'm speculating.
Big can of worms in this community in Kentucky, Letcher County. Allegations that the judge was having sex with inmates in the judge's chambers. Women having sex with him, they said, to stay out of jail. For the full backstory, I've done several episodes on this and really gone deep with some of these alleged victims and then also with the sheriff's attorney. So I'm going to link to all of those older episodes in the description below. But for this episode, I really want to just sort of get quickly to what I have new, which is this new woman who has come forward. Remember, though, there's this federal lawsuit, allegations that the sheriff was nervous about testifying and that his testimony could involve things that he knew about the judge. And there are allegations that he was threatened, and all of that, we're told, was happening leading up to when the sheriff shot and killed the judge, again, right in the judge's chambers, which is never heard of anything like that happening before. There was body camera video that clearly showed the sheriff paranoid after his arrest inside the courthouse. Now, again, I don't want to retell the whole story here, but go back and watch my previous episodes and you can really dive in. I want to, again, though, get to the latest woman I spoke to. Her name is Gemma Bentley. So she worked in the courthouse with Judge Mullins. She says that she was groped by the judge and that she was uncomfortable around the judge on numerous occasions. And you're going to hear her sort of describe all of this in her own words. She says she suffered retribution when she rejected the judge's advances. And she says that she also saw several things that she found very, very troubling happening inside the jail. Listen to my interview with Gemma.
So Gemma,
if you have SNAP or Medicaid, you may qualify for a free iPhone or Samsung plus up to 10.
You worked at the courthouse with Judge Mullins. Just kind of tell me a little bit about your history there.
I was going to college. I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I was still taking courses with the community college, and I was working a program called Pass the Promise. And my boss wanted me to not work on the campus, So she asked me to find a place to do my little 20 hours a week off campus. So since I had a criminal justice degree, I figured I would ask the judge because I knew him out in public. It's a small town. I attended birthday parties at the same place. I was very active in the community, Civil War reenactments and different festivals and stuff that we did. So I went and asked him if I could work for him, and he said yes, or if I could come over. I explained to him. He said yes, so I did. And after a little while of working there, he started making advances to me up on 3 separate occasions, and I refused him. And I asked my boss to move me, and she told me that she could not move me again, that she'd already moved me once and that she couldn't move me. It was only a 2-year program that I was working. And I was also actually working for EKU also, Eastern Kentucky University, where I had gotten my bachelor's degree. So I refused him 3 separate occasions. And then I found a home, and I bought me a home, and I moved out from the guy that I was with. And that's when it all started.
Yeah, let me just back up for one. I just want to stop you for 1 second. Sorry to interrupt you. Before we move on. So when you say first of all, was he married? And when you say you refused him, like what actually happened?
Okay. The first time he came out, he would come out and he would massage my shoulders and talk to me, when the secretary wasn't there, the evenings that I had to work late.
Yeah. The cop is telling them about this stash and this whole situation. Yeah. So what happens next?
The right music track turns a good scene into an iconic one.
I go with my aunts to La Finca, and they coerced him to bodyguard us to La Finca, the same police officer. So he grabbed one of his friends, and we go to La Finca, and I show them how to pull the metal plate out where the weapons are and the money is on the ground. And they had to pull it out with a tractor. It was a tractor. Yeah, it's a farm. Yeah. So they had to put the chain to the metal plate and move it out with all the dirt and everything. Then you saw everything, M60s, kilos. And my dad had like $10 million there. And they just grabbed whatever they could fit into the bag. They gave him a lump thing. They were looking for Cabe because we didn't know where he was. He shows up in Pereira like weeks later. But they take me to Pereira, to my grandmother's house. And I think I wrote about it in my book. I wouldn't eat for like 2 days. I wouldn't eat nothing. And they made me some soup. And I went to the corner and I had a conversation in the corner with my father. And I sat back down and ate all my soup.
The guys that they killed your dad.
Yeah. I would later find out that Ribby was one of them and a couple of other bandits.
Ribby, who's your mom's hitman, was one of the guys that killed.
And I didn't recognize him there that day.
Well, you were a kid.
Yeah, but I'd be around Ribby every fucking day.
Right.
And I still didn't recognize him.
Okay. And then after that, you went back to the U.S.
Yeah, they put me on a PJ straight to Opa-locka Airport, Miami. And we're there for a matter of weeks. And then we hit it to Anaheim, Orange County.
Okay. Now, the murder of your dad started a war in Colombia.
That's another urban myth.
That's not true.
It's not true.
Okay, because from what I understand,
all the friends,
Escobar.
Yeah, Pablo had a lot of love for my father.
Yeah,
and he probably loved my mother more.
Your uncles as well, right? From what I heard, one of your father's brothers was very close to Escobar, and
yeah,
there was a rumor that Escobar put a $4 million price on your mom's head.
No, that's
not true.
None of that is true. In the year 1992, I took 3 letters that were given to me, handwritten from Pablo, to my mother.
Not to interrupt, I'm back from peeing. Y'all ever been to Opa-locka Airport? I have. Actually, I ran away from home one time when I was 14 years old. And the guy who's running my father's companies, in my opinion, I'll show you that in 1 second here. His family flew me into Miami and I landed in Opelika Airport. It's the smallest, tiniest little airport. It's interesting. It's not like Miami International, which is a bigger airport. It's a very small, tiny airport. Listen to what they used this for. Let's do this first, real quick. This is the guy that owned the house down where I used to live in Miami that I showed you on the map. Hold on. Where I used to live. Right there. This is him answering a business that my father put a... I know about this business. My father told me about this business. Not this one. He told me about Green Door Winter Haven. He would put government contracts in and collect money. He would use businesses as shell companies. He told me how he did it and asked me to do it, and I told him to go fuck himself and thought he was fucking nuts. This is one of those businesses I've been asking people to research. I could use some help. This is only one of 4 or 5 I found. This is the man who lived in that house, who owned that house, his family, that flew me to Miami when I ran away. Oh, and there's a story behind that too. Yeah. Who am I speaking with?
Guy Schutzius.
Oh. Guy, this is Crystal. Why are you answering my father's business?
Excuse me?
This is Crystal, Marty's daughter. I called the number that is listed on his business, SGD Building Contractors, Inc., and it comes directly to you. Why are you answering his phone number?
Because he had a business set up with me, Donnie Ryland, and him to go down when the hurricanes happened. Unfortunately, I didn't want to be in business with your dad because I was many times and it never worked out. So why he got your number, my number attached to
Many
it
times.
because he just never follows through with it.
This man's been to my home recently. I invited him here. Okay, well, I would like my dad's stocks and I'm going to the U.S. Marshals today. Have a good day. My stepmother's... who I believe is still friends with this man, has control of my father's business aspects. My father told me that before he passed away. On the land he owns on the border that Jonathan Lee Riches ended up on. You see, this ain't about business in that aspect down in Miami, up here in Pittsburgh, down in Tennessee. I don't really give a fuck if anybody got into anything, but when you're stealing from me, we have a fucking problem. Ain't that right, Ziggy? Remember when I asked you if you were laundering my money? I want to know who the fuck you know from down in Florida and Tennessee, bitch. If it is my family and you're out here fucking working for them, I promise you this ain't gonna fucking end well. I am who I am. I am where I came from, and I know who my family is, and I know what my family does, and I know who each person in my family the fuck is. This was on accident, finding this shit. But now I have a fucking purpose. So you can send a message to fucking Patricia and her bitch psychic fucking sister that I'm on my motherfucking way. I don't give a fuck who they are, Preto. No.
And before that, in 1991, me and my brother Chiqui went personally and visited Pablo in La Catedral.
So you met Escobar?
Yeah, I met Pablo twice. Once in Palm Island when I was a baby boy, and then in La Catedral 91.
What was that meeting like?
It was like being around Julius Caesar. I'm a fan. You know, like I'm a mafia prince. My brother Chiqui is 26 years old, and he's the first person to ever make the Medellin cartel with Black American cartels. My brother was the first person to ever work with Black people in the United States, or work heavy with Black people, thousands of kilos. And when I'm visiting, my brothers get released. My brother Dixon's living in Morgan Hill, California. He gets tired of being on parole, and he's back to Medellin. My brother Chiqui, he gets received by Los Ochoas, and within 2 weeks, he sends 400 kilos to New York. Those 400 kilos were for the whole East Coast. It was the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And he starts taking all of Rayful Edmonds' clientele. Rayful and him were real good buddies, but we didn't know at the time that Rayful was already dropping it like it's hot in order to get my brother extradited to the United States. Chiqui is kind of aware of it, but he doesn't really care because he's a bandit in Colombia. He's a boss, and he's making more money than a lot of people. And Pablo didn't like that. And a lot of people didn't like how much money he was making everybody. Los Ochoas, he was making Los Ochoas. Him and Los Ochoas, to this day, I have nothing but the utmost respect and love for the Ochoa clan.
Okay, so you come back to the U.S.
Yeah.
And at this point, you guys are in Irvine, California?
You mean before my mother gets arrested?
Before she gets arrested, correct.
After
your dad's murder, you move back to the U.S., you guys go to California.
Yeah, Miami, Cali.
Exactly.
Play War Thunder now. Join millions of players across the globe in massive battles on tanks, aircraft, and
my brothers my brothers lived in Beverly Hills and in Orange County. Ubed had 2 houses in Orange County, but my brother Chiqui had a mansion that he had just bought. I'm not gonna say from who, but it was a very known comedian at the time, and he buys this mansion that's one of the biggest mansions there that a Latin guy had in all Beverly Hills. And he started building it like extra, and he put extra pillars up and stuff like that. And it was really just to stash the amount of money he was making. And he had a Rolls Royce, and he had the second Mercedes 1000 in the world. The other one belonged to the Sheikh of Dubai, I think it was. And he has those in the car, and El Caleño, which was my brother's favorite hitman. My mother raised the kid, and he was in the house too. I speak about him in my book as well because he made America's Most Wanted, and he's the only person in my cartel that got away from every and every FBI apprehension. He would always shoot it out with the feds and get away. And we're living in here in the Los Angeles area, and everything was great. Everything was plush. Lamborghinis, Porsches, Ferraris, mansions. We would go from San Francisco to LA like on the weekends.
Here's something I want to say to y'all that have been on here making fun of me, saying my life is fake, and I'm saying I'm related to the cartels and this, that, and the other. That ain't true. What I did was I came out here and I told you that I have ties to areas, big ties, where these people lived. It puts a bigger perspective of my own life out there, things I never knew because I ran from my family. I hate my fucking family on both sides, to be 100% fucking honest with you. However, I know what they are, and I like one side a little better. I can see clearly what the fuck is going on in my own life, and I can see how it connects to Summer. However, I cannot come out here and explain that to you for many fucking reasons. My life is not a joke, and me coming out here and fucking covering summer, it's a coincidence. But please know that I will go to people down in Miami to get fucking answers if I have to. This is not a fucking joke. Summer's case could possibly connect to real fucking true crime just because of where Ziggy's from and what her father does. When I came out and said that, I meant it. I think Ziggy's a fucking fraud. I also think Ziggy fucked with the wrong motherfucking person when she threw her fit because I asked to talk to fucking Fred. In the other interviews, this man puts out a phone number. I'm going to show it to you guys, to a Bill Bondsmith that he, I think, maybe runs or knows somebody who does. I'm going to call it. I'm going to reach out to my ties down in Miami. And we are going to get to the bottom of shit. I want to know where Summer is. And I'm done fucking playing games with you, Ziggy. Do you fucking understand? You've put my life in too much fucking peril, and for some reason I have a feeling my mother may have fucked my father's shit up with my little fucking child molesting fucking piece of shit fucking murderous brother. Go and take my monetization today. You guys want to know what I'm thinking? I'll fucking tell you in a way that ain't gonna hurt other people. It's too hard to get on here and explain in total. I can get on here and I can base it on other people's lives and things going on in the country and other areas. However, I'm not going to dox people and show addresses and all of that other shit. Y'all could go do your own motherfucking research. Start with Ziggy's fucking piece of shit dad, in my opinion. I've been on 2 hours and 7 minutes. If you guys want to finish this interview next time, we can. Or we're going to go into, I think we'll do little split ups of his interview about how people try to tell his life. I think that's important. People shouldn't come out on YouTube and try to tell somebody else's story, which is my point of showing this guy, plus the area I grew up in and who my father could have possibly been. I'm done fucking playing games with people, and I ain't scared of a damn motherfucker. Like I keep saying, come fucking get me. My life is real as fuck. I'm not crazy. And we're gonna figure this shit the fuck out. You get it? Oh, this is gonna be more than 2 parts. This is what I'm covering now. We're gonna cover the Cocaine Cowboys. We're gonna listen about Willie Falcone. I think his name's Mike Monday. A lot of people. Chico. Cheeky. Whatever his brother's name, and his story is very interesting. He owned limousine companies, cab companies. My dad used to drive a cab. I told that story. Then he locked me in a motherfucking closet because of it. I'm done playing fucking games. Peace and love. I'll see you all later. Maybe later today, maybe not. When I feel like it. If I see anything interesting going on here. Sherry, you want to fuck with me? Come on. Let's go, bitch. I could add something to that, but I'm not going to. To the good guys. Bye.